For those with good taste.
Welcome back, Tasties and Tastettes, to another episode of FTW GT Weekly. I'm Lenny.
I'm Dante.
I'm Dave.
And you guys are the people who should be commenting, and sharing this podcast. Also, make sure to tap that subscribe button while you're at it. Thank you so much.
Your voice is heard.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
God.
listening at all times.
I'm cringing over here.
Hey, how do you guys feel about mice?
Love them.
Indifferent.
Yeah, I kind of just don't care.
Rats?
Meh.
Rats suck.
I mean, what issues do you have with rats? They bothering you?
No, because I don't keep them near me.
You guys have had a
Alright.
really intense relationship today. It's kind of crazy. Something as simple as rats set you off. Like, what the fuck do you have against them?
Yeah.
Cheese eating bitches.
You be killing them and shit. I was at the movies the other day and I looked to my right and just saw one booking it across the wall. And there was people sitting in the seats like right there. And I was like, dude, so it stressed me out for like 20 minutes because I kept thinking the mouse was going to run across my feet. At one point, I felt like something was on my foot and like shook it like crazy.
I've had a rat run into my leg before. That's a very chilling experience.
Yeah.
But
now I'm going to imagine being in a dark theater.
Oh, it was in the theater?
Yeah, like I was in the movie. It was I was in the midst of the movie, and I just happened to look to my right at one point, and I just saw it scurry across, like down the wall.
I think that would make me more uncomfortable. Usually I only see them outdoors.
Because and you know how they are. They run in these, like they run along like the edges of stuff, and like the way Framingham is set up. Like I was in like the handicap part in Framingham, which is like you walk through the door and it's just like right there.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty full theater. It was one of the small theaters, but like there was a whole also weird. So the way Framingham is set up is it's like a row of seats of like four
Were
down
you
the middle.
on the dine-in side or no?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
the dine inside. So it was like a row of four seats down the middle, and then there's sets of 2 seats on both sides, and then they actually have seats behind the handicap section that are on like risers.
Yeah.
A
Like
couple
four
of
wide.
them.
Yeah.
But like as you walk in, and so like there was a family of like of I want to say 10 people that went to see this one movie.
Shit.
The whole family, like they had 2 rows in the middle taken up, and then there was like the one of the fathers like dogs. It was like an older guy and his wife, and then like their kids, and then their kids.
You know what I didn't even talk about? When I went to see Transformers, there was somebody in there with what I presume to be a newborn baby.
Breastfeeding?
No.
You see titty?
No, not breastfeeding. And like I didn't even realize the baby was there until like maybe like 45 minutes into the movie, where all of a sudden I just hear like crying. I'm like, what the fuck? And kudos to her. She immediately like got up and walked out with the baby.
Was the baby wearing earmuffs?
No.
It's probably not good for it, right?
I don't know.
Like movie theaters are kind of loud.
You're not wrong.
No, that's fucked up.
But then yeah, she came back like maybe 10, 15 minutes later and the baby was silent throughout the rest of the movie. I was like, oh shit.
Was he breastfeeding then?
He?
They
Don't presume.
were they breastfeeding?
I don't think so.
Well, follow-up question for you, Dave. What would you prefer in your theater? A mouse or a breastfeeding woman?
I mean,
I'd probably go with the breastfeeding woman.
Me too.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
I think.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your experience, Dante, nothing like mine.
No.
They had a lot of food though. Like, imagine bringing a family of 10 to the fucking movies. That's
an
expensive.
expensive trip.
Yeah, and like the
Like-
food in Framingham's more expensive because
Not-
it's better quality. Too.
Not only that, but you got to buy the tickets.
Yeah, yeah, and wild the movie that they chose to see. Like, I was shocked by this too. It wasn't a movie that I think you saw this week.
Okay.
What makes it better quality food? Do they have an Olive Garden?
Kind of.
Yeah.
It is legitimately better.
No, they
quality
have like
food.
an actual kitchen. Like they have burgers and shit.
So like Braintree has burgers, but like
They do?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure they just make theirs though in that little contraption that does everything at the front. Whereas like, yeah, to Dante's point, Framingham has a kitchen and they have like a full menu. So the pizza cost in Braintree is $11 because it's just those little frozen ones. Whereas when you order pizza in Framingham, it's like a full-fledged actual pizza. Have you, because you've ordered food now in Framingham, Have you ordered food to a movie you didn't pay? You didn't use a ticket to get into? Because that made me nervous the other day.
I did. Yeah.
All right, because I haven't done that yet.
Because all you have
Um,
to do is tell them the theater and seat number. They're not verifying your ticket.
No, I get that, but then my other fear was, what if somebody takes my seat and now they get my food for free?
I mean, the time that I did it, I wasn't really worried because, I always open the app and check the seats first.
I just kept reserving my seat.
Locking it down.
Yeah, it locks it for like
10
6
minutes at a
minutes.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. I just kept adding it because the theater was pretty full. And I was just like, I didn't even end up getting food, but I was thinking about getting it, and I was just like, well, like, I don't have an actual, like, I'm just like going in, not paying for the ticket or not buying a ticket. So like, kind of, it was in my head a little bit.
Yeah, I've been trying to do that a lot more, like at least 2 movies per visit type thing.
Yeah, well, and that's why I did. Yeah, exactly. Like, it was like, hey, I'm already here. This one time's up perfect. I'll buy the ticket, cancel it,
Yep.
so I have it, and then go over and see it. Whatever.
Yeah. I went to Danvers most recently, and
You do what I told you.
So yes, first off, thank you for that tip.
It's
Way
awesome,
better.
right? Way
Yeah.
better.
The weird part about it though is like I come in and I'm walking behind the ticketing person,
Yeah,
and
you're already there.
and
Yeah.
I thought about just like, what if I just bang this left and just go straight to the movie? Like maybe I can then cancel this one out. So I tried to sneak it.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, excuse me, you have a ticket?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I do it here." Like you're playing dumb.
Mm-hmm.
He scanned it, and I was like, "All right, cool." But then when I went to go book the second movie, it was on the other end of the wing. So I was like, I can't do the cancel trick because I got to walk right past him again.
Unless he's not there.
He was there.
And at this point, he knows very well who you are based on that original
No, he doesn't
conversation.
because he checked my ID a second time. I was like, dude, seriously?
I also hate the lack of consistency in checking my ID.
I get it every time.
I usually can tell.
Braintree never does.
I can usually tell
Braintree
who's
makes
going
me
to
do it
ask
every
based
time.
on
No,
like
yeah.
who's there.
So South Bay generally makes me do it. Framingham never asks, and Braintree has very
Framingham
rarely.
never has asked. Yeah.
Yeah, Braintree has very rarely asked me. I always get the same like old guy in Braintree.
I think it's only when it's that one like chatty dude that's there that like
Yeah.
always has something to say and he's always asking for my ID. And I'm like, fuck, this is annoying. Like, I don't want to have a full conversation with you. I'm already running late for my movie. Can I go?
It just annoys me when I already have the ID like ready and they don't ask me, and I'm like, all right. But if I hadn't have had it ready, is when you asked me to like
All that work
figure
for
it out.
nothing.
Well, it's more annoying in the Danvers theater because like you hit concessions before you hit the ticketing person.
So you could have your hands full.
So yeah, exactly. I got my hands full and you're asking me for my ID. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm already trying to balance my phone on top of this box of fries. Like,
You getting boxes of fries?
yeah, I got the curly fries.
Well, we can talk about the Danvers thing, by the way, also. So in Danvers, Dave, they just have a kiosk screen that you order from. You don't actually talk to a person. I had to wait like 4 minutes for just a cup for my soda.
Oh, yeah.
That annoyed the shit out of
Yeah.
me.
Nah, I just was like, hey, yo, I got the.
Hey.
Okay, cool.
Hey, yo. Hey.
Yeah, I'm not that rude.
It's not rude.
What you just described as rude.
No,
Well,
I'm
if
just
the
trying to get your
customer's
attention.
whistling at
Yeah,
me.
you
like,
were the dude in the store, like raising your hand and like fucking waving to me from across the building.
I was like, hey, excuse me, like I got the blah blah blah.
Hey, I know
Yeah.
you're working back there, but could you do mine
No,
first?
no. See,
I'm the guy with the curly fries. Just
So
can
no-
you make sure I'm waiting here? Can you make sure
no, that's the difference.
you
That's the
kind of
difference.
did that?
I did that because dude was just sitting in there, leaned up against the wall on his phone. I was like, I want my food.
he's working hard.
I still think you sound like an asshole.
Sure,
Like
whatever.
I would still, if I was in his shoes, I'd be like, all right, dickhead. Like the fuck, spit in your fucking fries.
They were all still crispy.
I guess like it probably
Curly fries is the move. By the way.
probably steamed off the off the fries from close.
Whatever. His spit is delicious.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's all right, pause, dude. That's crazy. I'm
Fuck.
gonna have to text D.
Pause.
Dante just said this dude's spit is delicious.
Still
What
good.
the fuck's happening here?
Oh man.
You think curly fries are the move?
Honestly, I fucked with it. It's a pretty decent sized box. I can't say shit now,
What's the perfect size box?
huh?
Is it 4x6?
I don't think I've ever gotten like actual food at a movie theater ever.
So Framingham, I'm definitely going because Dante said the burger was really good that he got. I want to try the pizza too. So like I'm definitely gonna get food in Framingham because it's just the quality's better. But I get mozzarella sticks and that's about it.
If I get anything, I'm just grabbing popcorn. That's
See,
much
we're
done.
off the popcorn game here at the for those with Good Taste Studios.
Lenny got me off the popcorn game and showed me the brighter side of life.
Yeah, it's just like popcorn's so like the hit rate on popcorn's like 30%.
The other thing too is I've been showing up with my own water bottle and
All
not
right,
getting a
dude.
drink.
I always
All right,
bring my
dude.
own drink now.
Crazy.
What? I'm saving $8 right there.
Yeah, I don't know. And like water does like quench the thirst better while you're eating, like say popcorn. But like there's something so nice about like that freezing cold ginger ale.
I can put ginger ale in my water bottle if I wanted to.
So you were just
Actually,
you walk
you know
up and
what?
empty out the ginger.
So
empty
you know
out
what?
water?
Last time I went to Braintree and I went with just like a Poland Spring bottle. I
Like,
watched
filled
two.
with vodka.
I watched 2 movies. When I was going to the second movie, I just went right up to the Coke Freestyle machine and refilled it.
Yeah, nobody said anything.
They
Well,
didn't
no,
say
they're not
shit.
gonna.
No.
I don't think anybody's actually ever gonna say anything, especially in Braintree. They care so little about that
Look.
place. Like
What do you-
there was a full ass line. I went on like Friday night, and like there was a full fucking line of people, and there was just the two young kids working the register, while 3 of them stood at the desk right behind me, just full fledged having a conversation. And I was like, one of these guys, like the Asian dude's definitely the manager of that whole place,
Look.
and I'm like, he just doesn't fucking care.
How can you say that they don't care? Have you seen the 2 new crane machines that they have there?
There's 4, Dave.
Is there 4?
There's 4.
I only saw 2.
I think there's
Oh, out in
because
the lobby.
There's in
Yeah,
the lobby,
yeah.
and then they also have them in the theater.
Well, in the theater is the one I saw. Yeah.
When
Did.
the
I just
fact-
realized I went to 3 different theaters in the past week.
yeah, I mean,
Uh,
because
I
end up
did
doing
also-
that a lot.
I did also go to Framingham last Wednesday and almost got into a fight with an old guy.
Racist.
No, it was very busy. Like, you know how Framingham's like regular line does.
And
like,
you're
the
going up to the
zigzag?
counter and you're like, "Hey, buddy, come on!" Like,
No,
you
no,
know.
no.
You
So-
probably did that.
Can I tell my
You
story?
probably
Damn,
were
no, I
racist.
didn't do that.
Sir, I'm next. I'm next, sir.
So like they have like the regular line that like zigzags or whatever, and it was full. And I go to the A-list line, and there was nobody in it. So I walk up, and immediately as I walk up, dude's like, "Yep, you." And I was like, "All right, cool." And the dude that was next in the other line goes, "What the fuck? Nobody waits in lines anymore?" And I just ignored him. I was like, "All right, that's just fucking ignorant." He was like, "Hey, you, buddy, I'm talking to you." I was like, "Are you fucking
Oh.
kidding me?"
Whoa, whoa, he buddied you?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I turn around. I'm like, "Yo, excuse me, like, bro, if you don't want to wait in line, you can pay for the membership and stand in this line. Until then, stand there and fucking wait."
Yeah, you thugged out on this guy. Well, did you talk tough because he was an old guy?
Probably.
Yeah, for sure. It's like
Knew he wasn't gonna do shit about it. So yeah,
it's really easy to talk shit when you know the people that you can beat the person.
Yeah.
You turn around and that's Debo. You're like,
But I think also the mindset too is like,
Sorry,
I
sir.
want to squash this quick, and I think if I try to alpha this, I can get away with it.
well, you should have looked at the employee and been like, bro, you gonna say anything to this motherfucker? Like, why do I have to do this? You took me.
Oh man, he didn't say anything after that. He just continued to mumble under his breath.
Well,
and it
because he
just
was
like,
probably like,
fuck,
fucking kids these days buying their tickets online and shit.
yeah, it's fucking bullshit. Nobody waits in line anymore. I was like, whatever.
Hey, so fun little segue here. So large theater chains plan to invest over $2.2 billion to upgrade over 21,000 movie screens. Sound, dining, projection, and seating experiences will be upgraded. Some theaters will add pickleball, zip lines, and bowling alleys as entertainment options.
I'm going to the theater to zip line.
Imagine you get your popcorn, drink, hit the zip line.
Our A-list memberships are going to go up $10 a month.
Yeah,
Dude,
and we won't have any of these theaters there.
No,
Braintree will look the same.
yeah.
I was just amped about the curved air hockey table.
Yeah, the curved air. You hear about that, Dave?
No.
Framingham has a curved air hockey table.
Oh, what does that mean?
So it's like,
What would you think it meant? Before we tell you, I just
Fair.
Like, is it like a horseshoe?
no, nope. Okay, now you can tell. I just didn't know creatively what else it could mean. That's actually a fun air hockey idea. Like
A
it's
horseshoe?
you, and you have to like
Yeah, but what if
you
it
Swing
gets,
it up?
you stand next to each other.
what if it
and
gets
you're
stuck
trying to
in the
wrap
middle
it?
though?
That's
So-
a pain in the ass. That's
that's
a problem.
probably tough.
That's
or
an
maybe
issue.
maybe that's where the like air jets are.
Yeah,
to
like
push
it
it
gets
off the
extra
middle, yeah.
speed boost when it hits that middle.
Yeah. But this curved air hockey table, basically what it is, you have your goals on each end, and it's bowed to the middle. So basically, like when you're shooting across, it's anchoring towards your goal.
So you can do like Wanted, Dave, with your hockey puck,
Curve the
and you
bullet.
can curve your bullet.
Sounds sick.
You don't seem like you get it.
No. So
His brain's not working.
yeah, like what? Do you not
He's
drink your
shut
coffee,
down.
dude?
Yeah.
because we're straight ahead of each other and it goes down and up.
No, it's like this. It's like a U.
Yeah.
You're shooting through a half pipe. You're not going up the walls. Like your goals are on the lowest valley.
Okay. All right. Trying to figure out what he's lost on.
Yeah. What?
No, what are you lost on? I know what he's talking about.
Do I have to draw it?
Your
for you?
Do
your
that.
goals
You have
are in the
a pen- you have an
valley.
Apple Pencil
So I
and a-
can't block the goal.
Yes, you can.
You're at the goal. You are the goal. Quite literally.
It's dude, literally exactly like regular air hockey, except imagine the sides of the table, like not the side you're standing on, the other sides are lifted up and angled in.
They're angled in like a half pipe. Pipe.
How?
This is
How?
crazy.
So you're not at the top of the half pipe. You're in the bottom of the half pipe across
Yeah.
from each other. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. You're not Tony Hawk or Bob Burnquist.
So how about we say like the left and right walls from you are curved upwards.
Sure.
I
think I said that, but okay.
All right.
Got it.
In this instance, you're not Bob Burnquist, Bucky Lassick, or Tony Hawk. You're what's the black dude who did the X Games?
Najee Houston.
No, well, that would also be a black guy who did the X Games. Yeah, you got that. You know, you're right. Actually, Buck. No, it was that really cool guy. I feel like his name started with an S. No, he looked at you. That's funny. What do you guys think though? Would you play pickleball or anything at the movie theater?
I think it'd give me more incentive to show up early.
I think it used to be like dinner and a movie was like the A1 date option, like you
But
would hear about.
now, what if the movie is the whole attraction?
Well,
like,
and this is
you
what
know
I
what
was
I
going
mean?
to say
Like-
because I think in recent memory, people are down on dinner and movie because, like, especially as an early date option because you're not going to like talk to the person you're with. Whereas if you were like, we're going to go to the movie theater, but that's also like we're going to go bowling or we're going to zip line, like,
And then wind down with a movie.
yeah, like now I think you've made that a more appealing option. Now, like what? I don't know how you convert your theaters to have these options when they've already been built in a certain way that like you'd have to have theaters that have
I think they have
open
to-
space around.
I think they have to just build new theaters, like new plots of land, whole new design type thing.
Well, then we're definitely not getting these.
Probably not, because I don't know where they'd put it.
It's like middle of America is going to get this. What if you just added a second floor on Braintree?
Honestly,
You just built up.
Braintree has a lot of unused parking lot space that they could definitely expand the building.
Yeah, that too. But they're definitely not using it now. Yeah,
Yeah.
Braintree is weird when it's busy.
But even when it's busy, that parking
See-
lot will never be full.
This is why I think like memberships are going to go up, ticket prices are going to go up because what they're going to do is they're going to basically tear down a couple of theaters that they already have to use space for what they're doing. Now they're going to have less theaters available. Therefore, the prices need to go up in order to make the same amount of
But if
money.
they're making
Well, no,
money
we're
off
talking
this
about
other
adding
stuff.
space.
Yeah,
and
I-
the revenue is from people going there to play these games and paying separately for that.
Well, I don't think
Or
they're
if
going
they
to add
want to
space.
include it in the membership, maybe they add a higher tier.
So here, I have a couple questions. First of all, if they did go up, hypothetically, if they went up in money, what would the cost of the membership have to be for you to not find it viable any longer?
What are we at now?
24.
25?
25.
Yeah, round up because I think it's 24 and change.
Yeah.
So I guess right now you see 2 movies in a month and you make your money.
justified your ticket. Yeah.
They go over that, then it's probably not worth it.
So any more money.
No, it's like $19 a ticket now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so you're basically saying if it was $40 for the membership, it's no longer viable.
Yeah.
Even if you can still get your 3 movies a week.
Because if you're not using them, you're not.
Yeah, because I'm not necessarily using it like that.
Well, I'll ask you the question because we're in a different situation. Like, I could see they could make that ticket $80 or that membership $80, and I'm still saving.
It's still worth it
In
for us,
theory.
but at that point, it kind of diminishes the value because the reason I enjoy it so much is because of the price.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely diminishes
Versus
the value.
now, if it's $80 a month, it's like, do I really need to go to the movies that much?
Now you feel it like you need to go to get your value.
yeah, so
versus-
it becomes more of it is a burden already, actually, for us, Dante.
Because think about like how many movies I'm going to see that I don't really care to see.
So that's why it's a burden already.
Yeah.
We see a lot of stuff that we just don't need to go see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, with that being said, have we done the math on 72 tickets what that would have added up to in real money versus what you've paid.
So at an average price of 19.
Call it 17 because you saw some matinees. You like maybe make it 15.
Okay.
Because we've seen our share of like
Oh shit.
early afternoon movies and stuff like that. So
15 times 72 would be $1,080.
and how much was the membership costed us so far? So 9 times 25. That's
Not bad.
$225.
Oh wow, I can't type, but
It's
yeah,
200.
you're right.
Yeah, that's easy math.
Yeah.
So at this point you've saved over almost $1,000, right?
Yeah.
Tickets you could bump the membership to 50 and it's still you'd be like, I understand the idea of like being like it doesn't feel like you're getting as much out of it because you're spending more for it, but you'd still be coming out ahead.
But I think even if we dumbed it down to like the movies I really just cared about, I probably wouldn't be at 72. I'd probably be somewhere more in the region of like 30.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or 21.
Well, you do
There's
something
still
for me.
there's still a few more movies I care about that you don't.
I guess.
So my other question is this: if they had a membership scale that came out that was 35, but you got unlimited use on like those exterior components, is that now worth it?
So I think it'd be worth it, although I think I'd struggle to build the value into that specifically for me because of how often I go alone.
How about AMC Bowling League?
A league? I'm
Yeah.
no good at bowling.
But what if you got good at it because you have unlimited access to the AMC lanes?
Holy shit. I'm sponsored.
That dude, okay, like an AMC Bowling League, it's like you go and you bowl with like competitively for an hour and a half, and then you all catch a movie together afterwards.
So the
You
reason
make friends that way.
I don't think unlimited access would ever work under a membership because then it'd just be too busy. Maybe like discounted access to the games or bowling or whatever it is might make more sense.
Yeah.
Because
But
like,
what if you're getting me in there with the unlimited access? Because like I don't think I'd pay to do it, but if it was included in my membership, maybe I end up drinking and eating.
you're spending more time there, which we all know they make the real money on the concession. So
That's what I mean. Yeah. So like if I'm just sitting there, I slug fucking 4 beers while I'm bowling, like that's more than I was paying on any other way.
no,
And
it's
then
valid.
I gotta get something to like kick at.
No, it's
So-
valid.
You know, and then I probably keep drinking when I go to the movie at that point.
You got to keep the buzz going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that, you could make a day of that. Hey, hour and a half, I made some friends. We're going to the movies together now.
I could see them doing this at very few test locations to start out, but then I could see the idea working and maybe it expands.
Now let me ask you guys this: would you go to a movie that was shot exclusively on an iPhone 15 Pro?
Honestly, I've seen a lot of the cinematic stuff that's been shot on iPhones. I would.
So the movie 28 Weeks Later, you may be familiar with the
Yeah.
franchise, 28 Days and 28 Weeks, and now you have 28 Years, is the new one, 28 Years Later, is shot completely on an iPhone 15 Pro,
Huh.
the entire movie. They use some lens attachments and things like that.
Yeah, I've
but-
seen the rigs where they do like the stabilizers and the lens add-ons and
But
stuff. Like,
yeah, completely shot on a phone. Isn't that cool?
that is pretty cool.
That's the world we're at. I'm intrigued now because I was already interested to see it because like both of those movies are highly regarded. I do like them. Cillian Murphy's really good too, obviously, and it's one of the first roles people remember him from. But I think it intrigues me more now to just see from a stylistic standpoint how it was made.
Yeah, no, that's I'm interested now. Like,
Because I think
I didn't even know that was coming out.
I think it was Olivia Rodrigo had a whole music video shot on the iPhone, which was like Apple used that as like a publicity thing when the 15s were coming out
Yeah.
to like show off their camera quality, which is still a really good idea, obviously.
I
but-
mean, they talk up these cameras so much at the events, and the reality of it is most people just use it to take like selfies or like, just
TikToks.
shitty pictures of their kids or TikToks. Yeah, sure.
Don't say it like that. People make a living off People are legitimately
That
wildly
was
famous.
so
because of it.
dismissive.
Yeah, no, you got that. But what I'm getting at though is I think it's often underestimated how powerful the cameras on our phones have become.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's one of those things where like the 16 just came out, right?
Yeah.
And if somebody asks me like what the difference is, it's like, well, there's no difference because the only things that they changed slightly is the camera quality. And like they added a fucking button, But they realistically, I don't know what they can change on a cell phone anymore. So the things that they have to like stand on is camera quality and things like this. Because
It's
aside
all
from Samsung folding and shit like that,
software and AI stuff
yeah,
being added in now.
yeah, AI is obviously like, and that's tough because like I think from a sales perspective, like the iPhone launches have gone like down and down year after year, and like this is one of the biggest decreases I've seen is this year's launch of it, and I think it's because you can't tangibly see
How much better
like
it
an
is. Yeah.
AI change, right? So like the visual difference is literally a button. Like nothing else cosmetically has changed to the phone. So and then on top of the fact that like how many people like they're these companies now are trying to push us towards AI, but like that doesn't to me match up with the actual pulse of the world, at least from my standpoint, as far as people wanting to be involved with AI.
Yeah, a lot
Like
of people are not
Copilot is
ready
being
to accept
forced
it.
on
Yeah.
us. Yeah, like Copilot got forced on us. I know Google has their own new one
Gemini,
now.
yeah.
And then you have Apple trying to really push theirs. And it's like all these companies are like, okay, like there's no more physical differences. So let's just try to get everybody to care about AI. But like the reality is, I don't know people that are clamoring for even people who are super techie aren't like, dude, the AI is like changing the game. Like I don't hear anybody
There is a
talk
lot
about
of really good benefits to it that people like do dismiss though. I mean, think about how many people use Chat GPT for one. Like that's the AI that I think is most widely accepted, right?
Yeah, it's the most functionally used. I think it has the most
Yeah.
day to day reason for somebody to use it.
Yeah, like I had Chat GPT write my resume. Like
Yeah, like so I think that those advantages are substantial. Especially I do think it worries me a little bit because it like what was the need for me to take English classes in high school or like anything like that if now I can just ask a bot to write things? Like why what is going to be the need for people to take English classes aside from them having like their own creative writing interests? Like why do you need to know why a paragraph's structured any longer?
I do still think that stuff's important.
Why?
Because like if you don't know the structure of a sentence and all that stuff, the AI is not perfect. It's still not going to get it 100% for you. You still have to go through and
How
revise
many
that stuff.
edits did you have to make to your resume?
I mean, a bit. Like there was stuff I had to add. Some of it I just asked it to add and it did that for me, but like
So you still didn't even really correct it yourself. This is kind of my point. Like
I did correct it
you
myself, but some of the stuff I
you
asked it to.
didn't
Yeah, yeah.
really need to like do any real like thought provoking like English. Like how am I structuring this?
No,
And
the
behind
structure
it,
was there.
like
I'm just but like my whole point is if I don't know the structure is good, how am I supposed to just look at that and accept it? You know what I mean? The reason I know it's good is because I do know
sure,
that stuff and I'm able to look at it and be like, all right, cool.
but now
This is where I
you're
revise and I can maintain the structure in my revisions.
so at that point, like English class isn't there for like teaching you how to write. It's really there for reading comprehension.
sure, that's still
Like
very important.
to me, yeah, I think it's a different skill.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. Do you guys think that like AI is something that anybody is like? What else can a phone do for me from an AI perspective that I should be interested in?
I mean, a simple one I've used recently is like with the new iOS 18 update, you can do like the search in your photos. So you can like describe a photo and ask it to pull it up, and that works pretty well. I think that's powered by AI. I know that's like a weak example, but like it's
Because
still
I only think it's a weak example because like your photos in your phone have been at least with iOS organized by faces and like locations for a while now. Like
yeah,
if you
but
like there's sections of it. I understand what you're saying and like how it's even more um it can get you to exact things that way,
like
but
you gotta understand, like I have a good amount of photos on my phone. I mean, there's a lot of people that have
subtle
way more,
flex.
right? Like
Yeah.
I have probably like 2,000 photos on my phone, which I guess to a lot of people isn't a ton, but when you're trying to sort through them and stuff,
Mhm.
it gets annoying sometimes. So I tried to use that search function because I needed to swap out a screen protector at Best Buy the other day, and I knew I had a picture of the receipt in there.
Mhm.
I literally used the search function and was like Best Buy receipt, and it popped up like three that I had.
That were taken you took pictures of.
Yeah,
Okay, is there any other uses?
Damn, not bad. Even Google has something similar for that search. I just typed in family on porch and got my
Family on a porch.
family on a porch.
Wow.
yeah. No, like I mean, like I think the reason a lot of people are kind of against it is just because they don't understand how to implement it yet. But I think once you're more welcoming to it, there are a lot of advantages to it. I'm not going to say you're going to use all that it's capable of, but like we don't even use all our smartphones are capable of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess like we definitely don't know all of what it's capable of. I just haven't heard anybody who's given me like some huge feature that is why I should go out and buy a new phone for $1,200.
You know what's the dumbest feature that I'm hoping Apple Intelligence can do for me? Because they're saying it's so much more conversational and integrated and it can do so many more commands. I really just want to be like, yo, like that song on Spotify for me.
It can't do that.
Not now, no. Or I don't know. Apple Intelligence isn't fully rolled out yet, right?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that no, because you could add this to my playlist, right?
I think. I don't know how much control you have over Spotify. Like I know I can tell it what to play, obviously, whether I want to play like a specific song, an artist, a playlist, an album, and it does all that stuff really well, but I don't know how much more it can integrate with like things like, like this song or add this song to this playlist, so on and so forth. But I think that stuff would probably be like more real life application that I would actually use.
And it's still again like such a
It's such a
trivial,
small, yeah, no, it's
insignificant thing in the grand scheme of things. Like, I
but
understand
like
you're driving and a song comes on like a shuffle that you like
exactly.
or like whatever. I get the
And
benefit you're
while
talking
you're saying
about.
like that's a small thing, that's only one example, right? Like there's probably other small things I haven't even thought of that I can use this shit for, but like I do think it's a good thing. I just don't think we fully understand how to use it yet.
Yeah. I struggle with anything else I can think of that I want it to do for me.
I mean, kind of in that same vein, like I don't think that there's anything that I need or want out of AI in my device, but I also think it comes down to like all the stuff that they're adding in right now. They're not really advertising it super well. They're basically saying, "Hey, we have AI," or I don't know what Apple's is called, but
I
like
think that's probably the biggest weak point is they're not giving you enough scenarios of the possibilities to
right.
really unlock your mind to what it could do for you. They're just like, "Oh yeah, you can talk to it."
Like all I keep seeing like, "Hey, Google has Gemini," but I'm like, "Okay, cool. There's a feature called Gemini on my phone." Next.
Yeah.
Like, and I just move on with my day.
Oh, okay, let's talk about when we do know the features of then like Copilot, right? Like we
That's why I didn't say this bitch's name.
Stop listening.
okay. Like so
That's crazy.
Copilot, we know some of what's possible with it, right? Like
Yeah.
and I'll even a quick gripe with that. They also roll this shit out and tell you it's gonna have it, just like Apple's doing right now, and then they don't even release a full version of it. Like so Copilot, I don't think still doesn't have the recognition like software or whatever, like
Mm,
the recall ability that it said it was gonna have. I don't think it still
gotcha.
has it yet.
I think a big thing too is like when you're thinking about these are all tech companies. This is now the next big advancement. They all just want to get ahead of it, whether it's partially developed or fully developed. They just want to be like, "Hey, we have that too." Like, don't let that be the thing that has another company set them apart from yourself. So now they're all rushing to get it implemented without any of them really having it fully developed yet.
I don't know what it looks like when we finally get there. I do like
Judgment Day.
yeah, that's
Skynet.
that's definitely an intimidating aspect of it. I do like now like Google searches how it used to give you like an answer, but now it's just like full-fledged answers. Like it would give you a
Yeah.
partial. Now it's just like Google AI
Yeah,
is
now
like let me
Google's
try to
Googling for me.
yeah, like let me try to give you the full answer with context to what you
Yeah, because
searched.
basically it just compounds the results from the first page and summarizes it for you at the top.
Yeah, which I think that's the most functionally like useful thing that I've seen from AI thus far. Like I don't care on Copilot that I can go in and type like dinosaur kite
No,
going
that
on a roller coaster and like get an image of
see
that,
the image
like
generation stuff I think is very niche, right? Like that's a very small aspect of what AI can do, but I think at the end of the day, like when they first introduced like voice assistants in our phone, like before Siri was even Siri, like we had like voice control on like the iPhone 4s, and that was remarkable. Like, holy shit, I can go fully hands free with my phone now and make phone calls and stuff like that. Like this is now just the next evolution of that as far as like hands free control and like having an actual virtual assistant in your phone. And I think the possibilities of that are, as tacky as it sounds, endless.
do you think it would be cool because you talk about like more personalized like use of your phone if it does evolve into more of like an artificial being where it has the ability to remember like talking to you and like learn from you and it basically becomes its own sentient like entity to a point.
I think that's the point where people start to get scared of it, though, is I don't want the AI to be a sentient being.
I think I'd be more intrigued if it was like if I could become like friends with my iPhone. Like you name your iPhone the day you buy it,
Yeah.
or Google phone or fucking Samsung phone. You name it the day you buy it, and it's like a fucking.
It's a
It's like
Tamagotchi.
yeah, it's exactly exactly. It's a little pocket pet
Yeah.
that like that like I'm raising from being an adolescent child to a full grown boy phone.
Oh,
I think I'm
what
into
would you
that.
name your AI?
Oh. I mean, I named most of my characters in video games Dick Bandy, so probably that. I don't know.
Dick Bandy, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, Dick
Why?
Bandy, can you enhance my dick pic for me,
Yeah,
please?
exactly.
What is the origin on that?
Well, so I used to listen to The Fighter and the Kid a lot, and Brendan Schaub used to call, and Brian Callen used to call people like Big Dick Bandits. Um, so they wouldn't let you put that in video games. They flag it. So I just started doing Dick Bandy. I don't know.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's all it is.
Okay.
Nothing too complex there. And it's like you always get to those create a character screens, and I can't think of a name that I want to use, so I just end up using Dick Bandy again.
Okay.
What are you guys naming yours?
I don't know. I'd probably just give it a human name. But the tough thing is I don't
Tom?
want it to be like a name of anybody I know.
So
Be-
not Tom.
No, it'd be some
Miranda.
It'd be a stupid name that like nobody uses anymore, like I don't know, Agnes or
So it would be a
fucking
girl's name. I was gonna
Bertha.
ask would it be a girl or a guy name, but you're naming it all girls.
Well, I use the girl voice with Siri, so yeah,
I don't even think about there being an option.
there is an option.
Is Siri an inherently feminine name?
No. No.
Do you think it's ambiguous?
I mean, I think they went out and said it's unisex,
But they also very clearly rolled it out as a woman.
but then they added more voices. There's male voices in
Yeah,
there
but
now.
like you can't like
Yeah, but that's not Siri anymore.
you know what I mean? Like they made it pretty clear from jump that Siri was a woman, and I know this was pre like they them shit, but like they made it fairly clear that this was a girl. Can't walk that back now, Apple, just because you want to be woke. I think that's a cool. I think that would be cooler, honestly. Do you also you brought up Judgment Day? Do you think it's a bad thing that I just watched Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning again,
Mm.
and nobody thinks of that AI that went really bad the same way that they think of Judgment Day. Like that movie, I'm sure Tom Cruise made that movie thinking I'm going to be the new T2. Like this is me taking over the AI goes bad world.
Mm.
And instead he had to change the name because it underperformed so badly. That's got to be an ego hit is I guess my only thing with that.
He's got quite the ego,
He does have a very big ego. I was
packed in such a small, minute body.
a small body, yeah, very small body.
What are you talking about? He's tall.
Yeah, they were talking. I've been watching the Mess Around pod a little bit. You guys familiar at all?
Nope.
It's Lauren Morris and
Oh.
Oh, I have been
Yes.
watching that actually.
the New Girl podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been watching the Mess Around, but he has another one, the Morning After
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
And I've been
yeah.
watching that one.
So he does one with Hannah Simone, which is CC from
Yeah,
New
yeah.
Girl. And
I've watched like a couple episodes of it, but I've been watching more of the other one.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago they had Jake Johnson on and Nick Miller and he did the Mummy with Tom Cruise and they were talking about how like Lamorne is like really good friends with Glenn Powell, so like he was talking about like a story from Glenn doing Top Gun Maverick and about like how Tom Cruise basically told him like he was like scared about having to do like to fly the plane and do all these real stunts and he's like, do you think like I would like us as like as movie makers, producers would make movies knowing that we could get you hurt because if you get hurt, then I can't do my job tomorrow, and that's not good for me. So like, why would I put you in positions that you could end up hurt and not be involved in this? And he basically used that same thought logic with Jake Johnson, who was like doing New Girl at the time and never done an action role, and like he basically forced Jake Johnson to like get in the best shape of his life. And they were talking about how if you look at season 6, like all of the characters in that shows like in New Girl are like in significantly better shape than they are in any other season. And it's because like Max is always in shape. Nick ended up having to get, or Jake Johnson ended up having to get into shape from the Mummy, and it like trickled down to like Lamorne not wanting to look shitty next to them. So he's like, now I have to fucking work out. And like they all got in way better shape.
Do you
Huh.
think the guy on the set of Rust was also given the same the same
What is Rust?
safety blanket? Alec Baldwin.
Oh,
Yeah, saying,
Yeah.
you're safe because we can't do our jobs tomorrow if anything happens to you.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin used a loaded gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he probably didn't get the same talk.
No.
That would never happen on a Tom Cruise film. And isn't that the whole thing? Like John Wick, like the people who made that movie, like they basically redid the way that guns are used in movies because they don't use any um fake bullets in their
Oh, they don't
guns.
use blanks?
No, they have their guns have caps in the top of them that stop the firing mechanism, and it's all just realistic for the rest of the gun. Like, so you pull the trigger and it clicks and all of that, but there's a stopper in the top of the gun that doesn't allow the firing aspect to go
So
off.
do they have anything in there to simulate the muzzle flash, or are they just digitally
I
adding
think
that
they're
later?
digitally adding the muzzle flash, and it's just all the other like movements of the gun are ultra realistic. Is the way it's done.
Okay.
There's like YouTube videos on them going through like that, like them making the gun and then showing it used in like the training for the movie and stuff. Which obviously for that movie is like such an integral process that they have real looking like guns, but they also have to be
Safe.
as safe as possible for the way they're using them. Yeah.
Makes sense.
For the amount of times that they have to pull the trigger.
Yeah. When was the last time you guys rewatched John Wick?
I haven't.
Forever ago.
I started watching 4 again the other day, but I'm watching it while I go to sleep, so like I stopped it and gonna come back to it. It's also a really long movie, but
Still haven't caught the fourth one yet.
fourth one's fantastic. But it is like it's the longest of all of them, and I think it does feel like it's the longest. Because my only gripe with like the fourth one is the action's fantastic, but I think that almost every action scene in that movie, in the middle of that movie at least, could have been shaved down by like 2 minutes with the amount that he's just like people are wearing like body armor and he's just like pumping shots into the armor over and over again, and like it just keeps sometimes it just feels like it
It's like
runs on.
over exaggerated, but that's
Yeah.
kind of the bit they run on, though.
Yeah, and like so that it's a line because it's super impressive, but it sometimes you're like, okay, like how many variations on like a rolling takedown into like 4 close range shots into the chest that don't kill somebody into the next person that he does that to. It just kind of
Yeah.
keeps going and going to a point. But at the same time, the joke with that movie too is like he rolls down that fucking flight of stairs for 10 minutes of the movie,
Oh, yeah.
which is really funny, but it is like the bit like where it's like this just keeps going.
Like the Fast and
Yeah.
the Furious runway.
Yeah, exactly like the Fast and Furious runway.
The famous 20-mile long runway.
Yeah.
The only other piece of news that I had at all was we just talked about Transformers 1. Go check out the video.
I just want to just at least just cap up that whole long conversation. If you guys want to make movies on your new iPhone as well, A+ quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave, speaking from experience, has shot.
I just
And
wanna say-
actually,
films.
you know
That's
what?
right,
A
that-
note for you viewers out there. This podcast here, shot on iPhone. No, it's not, but
I
would have
was-
been cool.
I would've let it go. I was gonna let it live. But film one scene on the iPhone for us right now, Dante, so we can leave that in.
Frankly, it might actually look better if we shot it on the iPhone, but
We can try that.
We'll play with that, yeah.
We could do that. Yeah, so we have we're going to be putting up the review of Transformers 1, and I did just read so like they are planning another live action Transformers movie. Do you remember how the last one ended?
I think I'm like 2 or 3 removed at this point.
Bumblebee came back to life.
It ended with John Cena and the like going into the G.I. Joes.
Yeah, okay.
So they are planning the Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover right now.
Okay.
But it's in like the script writing phases.
Channing Tatum.
Dead, unfortunately, in that universe. But I would
RIP.
sign me up for him as Duke again. Like they shouldn't have killed him. I think he just had another movie he was committed to, and they wanted to use The Rock, so they just like get him out of here. And really fucked up, they sold the movie as if he was in it. And literally 10 minutes in, he was very much not in it anymore. They dropped like a whole atomic bomb on his head.
A la Ryan Reynolds in Life.
Yeah, I have seen that movie like once, and it's like that movie's panned for being really bad. I don't remember disliking it.
I don't think I've seen it.
It's
Weird.
Jake Gyllenhaal, Ryan
Basically,
Reynolds, and
origin story of Venom.
Huh.
Is it the girl from It's also the girl who's in the Mission Impossible movies.
I don't remember.
The blonde. I can't remember her name right now. Yeah. It is. Yeah. It's basically that. It is just very much Venom. But like, cool, fine. Space movies have like a ceiling to me. Like Trapped on a Spaceship movie has, especially this year for me, has developed a ceiling.
Yeah,
Dante hates them all.
pretty much.
Dude, I found out somebody I went to high school with is going to space.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Fucking astronaut.
Okay.
Isn't that wild? Graduated from my small ass little shitty school.
Borgia?
No.
No.
No. It is funny though, because like I don't know. How was your guys' high schools like good for academically?
No.
It was decent for a public
Actually,
school.
it was like very one way or the other.
Yeah. Like my school was just mostly bad. I would say like 90% didn't give a fuck and just didn't really try. But it was one of those things where like you'd have that one random person who went to Harvard and it was like that thing that they could like cling on where it'd be like, there's hope. Like if you put in effort here, you could end up going to Harvard. And now it's like they get to be like, hey, if you try, you can end up going
You
to
can
the
go
moon.
to space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kid went here. We did that.
Yeah. Take full responsibility, not their work ethic or anything. Yeah. We inspired that child.
Yeah.
And if you want to follow us, you could get there too. Would you guys go to space? Like you can go now, right? You can just, if you have enough money, you can
Just sign up for SpaceX.
like pay to go.
I don't think it really interests me at this point.
I probably would.
More interested, what would you be more likely to do? The Titanic like expedition that blew up,
Nope.
knowing it didn't, if you hadn't known it blew
Nope.
up, or go to space.
Space.
I have to pick one?
Yeah.
Then yeah, probably space.
That's
Is that because you know that they blew up?
no. It's
I just
10
think
times out of 10
think
decision right there.
space would interest me more than the ocean.
The deep ocean,
Terrifying.
it's terrifying, but that makes it interesting, no?
Sure, for me to sit on my couch and watch.
Yeah.
But space isn't like a sit on the couch and watch experience.
No.
Do you like flying?
Like is a weird term. I don't mind it.
Is it a weird term? I feel like
I don't think it's a
people,
weird
like-
term. I just don't think it described how you
We
felt.
have a friend that like got his license to fly. I think he likes it.
Okay, well, like actually being the pilot versus sitting on a plane. Like I don't like.
Yeah, but
sitting
you
on
had to have liked sitting on a plane to end up like being a pilot, I suppose. But like, or being in the air. Maybe not like the sitting on the plane thing, but you liked like the aspects of being
Also,
in the
the
air.
person you're referencing that's going to be a pilot, I've been in a car with him. I do not intend to get in a plane with him.
It was the most thrilling fucking
Oh,
plane ride possible. Yeah,
Chun-Li.
yeah,
Yeah.
Kevin.
There'd be no moment where you didn't feel like your life was at risk.
No, 100%. I would not get in a plane with them.
You'd be like, watch me do a barrel roll. Like, what the fuck?
Dude, somebody being so notorious for driving is so funny. like everybody who's been in a car with him is like, I never want to do that
Drive,
again.
yeah,
No.
5-6 hour trip to New York. I was like, never again.
He did it in 3, and you were scared the whole time.
I sat in that front seat and I was like, dude.
Just holding everything. Yeah.
It's like when they get into the car in the second Harry Potter and they're trying to drive to school.
Oh,
Nobody's fucking ready for that. I think I'm more intrigued, and I think it's because like they say it like we know less about the deep ocean than we do about space.
Right.
So I think there's like an intriguing aspect to like you're basically the one of 20 people or something that would have seen like that like deep into the ocean. And what if you just saw some shit that's never been seen before? No appeal?
I'm good.
Okay. All right, I won't sell you on this one, I guess, guys. It interests me a little bit. If I had to guess, though, the guy who piloted that little tiny submarine, he probably had it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he has it anymore.
Had being the active word there.
Yeah, he had it in spades.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taste. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Okay, yeah, let's jump into the taste test. Let's talk about me and Dante still have 3 movies at least. He has 5.
Gross.
He has 4 or 5 that he has to talk about. I have 3.
It's all right. There's not many I really want to talk about.
Yeah, these will be abridged versions of movie reviews. Dave wants to let's do the Dave conversation first because there's some stuff that we need to get out here as a podcast in the open. Dave's frustrated with me, it feels like, but in turn, Dante. Maybe this is where some of the hostility has come from with you two today.
Get your shit off.
Dave, you want to let the podcast listeners and viewers know why you're mad at us?
I mean, I'm not one for airing out laundry here.
No,
This
let's
is-
do
this
it.
is-
No.
Put me
The
on the
people
spot,
let
man.
the people know
This
why
is a transparent place.
we're in like a dispute,
I don't know. I
a
was just
domestic.
I've been I've been very communicative about, my desire to we got a new Marvel show, Agatha All Along. And I was excited to come on here with the boys and, talk some witchiness. And,
Are you
we
still trying to sell it?
we decided to be bitchy. No, so here's my thing, dude. For one, me and you, like, we've really not reviewed any Marvel TV show stuff since maybe Captain America, Winter Soldier, and yeah,
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
yeah.
Yeah.
Was that like maybe the last one that we did any type of like week to week talking about?
Yeah, I think we've just trashed the rest as far as like I got like 2-3 episodes in and didn't care for it.
Like, I just haven't watched any of the TV shows. We talked Loki, actually. Loki 2
Oh
was,
yeah.
and even with that, we weren't watching weekly.
No.
Like, I don't know, from at least speaking from a personal side of stuff, there's not a lot of shows that I want to watch a week by week. I'd rather let like 3 or 4 weeks build
Loki's
up.
a great example because I think we waited until it was done to just binge it.
Yeah.
So I kind of find these shows different in the sense like I fully understand the want of just binging a show when you're at the end of it. I feel like these kind of shows, especially like the Marvel ones and then like a Star Wars show, like I was watching The Acolyte, even though that was not that great of a show, is that these offer you so much of like, I guess like the Easter egg type things per episode, where there's a lot of like hidden things in the background that throughout the week, obviously, if you watch it week to week and you can kind of discuss it and point out what I've seen, you can point out what you've seen. There's a lot of added things to the show versus sitting on a couch for 5 hours and watching multiple episodes and you're just going to get the baseline story and then kind of be done with it.
Yeah, I think it takes away from like some of that like week to week, like being able to go on Twitter or go on like YouTube and watch like videos and people talking about it and like learn more about like the week to week basis and be in the conversation. I understand too, but like I also I've been jaded by the quality that we've gotten out of these shows that makes me want to wait and see as opposed to just like jump into it. And like I can't say I don't know about you guys, like I wasn't clamoring for an Agatha TV show. Like
No.
that's my other aspect here where it's not like this is one of the big characters. It's a side character TV show. And I understand like WandaVision was really good. And it's one of the more interesting like corners of this universe, I think. But I just don't know that like outside of Aubrey Plaza that there's something that's like driving me to want to see the series.
No, and I fully get that because there's been a lot of Marvel shows where I've kind of just either pulled the plug on watching or just not even watched entirely. But I don't know. I just found my own personal want and like to kind of like you said, WandaVision, I thought was an absolutely fantastic show, and I thought it was just kind of weird, quirky, and just had its own kind of level of energy, which I'm expecting Agatha All Along to also bring, being as it's essentially a spin-off of that little area of storyline. Um, and it being kind of like magic based and like obviously with it being witches, I think it's unique and definitely different from other things that Marvel has put forward.
So with that being said, Sellers on the first episode. Should we watch it? Are we missing something by not watching it? Do you like where they've taken it so far?
So 2 episodes have come out.
Okay.
They dropped the first 2. The first episode, it's a little weird because essentially you have Agatha kind of in this trance mode, as the last time that Scarlet Witch now at that point at the end of WandaVision, basically kind of stole her power from her and then kind of locked her in the town of Westview in her own mind, basically. So you start off this episode essentially thinking she thinks that she's been a member of this community and lived in Westview her entire life. and that she's essentially a police like detective, um, looking in on a crime of like a murdered woman. Kind of goes through the story, and then at the very end, you kind of get Aubrey Plaza coming in, who clearly shows that like she knows more about what's happening in the town, in the universe. And then kind of like her mind gets flipped, and she kind of starts to remember who she is. And it's did you guys ever watch Mr. Robot at all?
No.
Season 2 of Mr. Robot is basically like your main character is kind of walking around doing his thing, but it turns out throughout the entire season he's in prison, or he's in like it's a mental institute or something like that. But they don't show you any of that stuff because in his mind he's walking around and doing his normal thing. That's kind of what you find out is happening with Agatha this whole time. Is she's basically just been going crazy in her house, thinking that she's driving around, or that she's a police detective one week, I guess, and then like another week she'll think that she's a teacher or something. But the entire time, like she's in her head, like in this TV show, kind of like WandaVision, but instead she's just sitting in her house doing weird things. And then all of a sudden, like the light switch flips back on. Hey, I remember being a witch. Like, let me get my power back. And
That's where you go from there.
yeah, second episode, then it's just trying to find her coven and trying to find a way to, get her power back.
Has it been fun?
Yes.
Are you sold?
It was kind of a weak sales pitch, but
Thanks,
you know
bud.
what? To appease you, Dave, I will commit to watching the first episode and make a decision
For
from there.
first two.
I will commit to watching the first episode and make a decision from there.
I will say though, like as she's pretending to be this like New Jersey like police detective, her accent in that first episode is appalling, and it's
bad.
tough. Yeah.
So now you're telling me I need the second episode to be sold.
I mean, the second episode kind of shows you the background of like her not actually being a police detective, I guess.
I think we need to watch the first 3 episodes, Dante.
Hey.
All right. There you go, Dave. You got what you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a go, Dave. For the sake of the happiness of this podcast.
Plus, I just feel like where this show is going has
Dave, you made the sale.
major ties to where I think
He's gonna talk himself out of it.
Marvel and MCU is going. Because the idea is that they're going to essentially probably tie in Mephisto into the Marvel universe. And I just kind of feel like this has to be some sort of like revival of Wanda Maximoff and Scarlet Witch.
Who's the Mephisto?
Mephisto is the devil.
What is he?
Pretty
do?
much, he's the Marvel devil.
So all the bad guys are there?
Yeah?
They're in hell.
Well, I don't know about hell, but he's the Marvel devil.
Where's the devil usually reside?
New Jersey.
That's true. So that's why she has the accent.
See what you did there.
Storytelling at its finest.
Yeah.
Look.
So yeah, we'll give it a shot, Dave. Does it concern you at all though that Catherine Hahn, Agatha Dante, was asked what her favorite Marvel movie was, and do you want to guess what she said?
The Edward Norton Hulk.
No. Dante, you have any guesses?
Is it going to be She-Hulk?
No, it's a movie that she's talking about.
What'd you say? Superman? I know it's not Marvel, but I'm assuming that's the ridiculousness of it.
No. She said Black Widow.
Ah. Okay.
Tough one to say is your favorite.
Yeah. Is that like the only one she's seen?
It feels like that, like for you to pull that one out. What would be the thing that made that your favorite?
I'd love to hear the supporting argument.
Yeah, like I want to know why.
I guess
and
I would
you-
have assumed if she's coming into, like, obviously now she's in Marvel, but like doesn't necessarily mean that she likes watching Marvel movies. I'd think any of the other movies with Wanda Maximoff and as like would be probably ones that she had to watch.
Yeah, go
before.
like,
Okay, like Doctor
say,
Strange.
like Multiverse of Madness. Even if you said that, but like Black Widow is such like an insignificant like piece of the puzzle that it is weird to me that that's the one that she used.
Yeah.
Although maybe it's because Thunderbolts is coming and Florence Pugh.
I'm gonna say, yeah, maybe she just likes Florence Pugh.
Pew pew pew.
Somehow I knew that was coming.
Okay, Dante, you want to talk about Halle Berry gets tied to a house?
Yeah, never back down.
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that
That's
movie
a
a lot,
great movie.
actually.
Do you?
Yeah,
Because of Deju Hanzu?
sure, yeah. No, I liked
Amber
actually
Heard.
the
Digimon Hazu?
whoever the kid was that he was coaching. I thought was pretty good in that too.
Sean. Can't remember his last name.
I don't know it at all. So
It doesn't really matter. He's done like nothing of significance.
damn.
So tell me about Black Snake Mom.
Okay, so
First off, it's never let go.
I think that there was like interesting ideas in this movie.
I mean, my first note
Um,
literally says I enjoyed what it could have been, but it didn't really drive it home in the final act.
yeah, I think like it's got some Shyamalan to it.
I can see that.
It's
Yeah,
got a
yeah.
little bit of Shyamalan in it, where it's like there should be a twist somewhere in here or something, and they try to twist.
I thought there was gonna be a
They,
twist.
they
Yeah,
yeah, like they kind of in a way there is a twist because like so the idea here is that there's some like demonic plague that
they
has
call it the
taken
evil.
that has taken over the earth, and their house is like christened with holy water essentially,
Yeah, it was blessed, and then so were the ropes that they tie themselves to.
and so they're protected whenever they try to leave their land by staying on these ropes that are attached to the house. Um, and that's why they can't let go of the ropes, because if they do, the evil can attach itself to them and then be allowed back into the house at that point.
Yeah,
And so Halle Berry's the parent to these two kids and a dog. And like if they anytime they get even slightly off of the rope, they have to say this whole speech and then go in a little box on the floor
yeah.
to be cleansed of like any potential evil that they might have latched onto them. Um, so like the movie progresses for the first like 45 minutes. Here's the one thing I'll say about like it feels a little long. And it's not as long. There's two movies that we both saw this weekend that I thought the biggest gripe I had with them is they could have been a little tighter in terms of time and it would have done a lot to help the movie.
Yeah.
Because there is quite a bit of like not even backstory or like storytelling that's building this. It's just kind of like you walking through the woods and like trying to find food and like some of that stuff is
Honestly,
cool, but
I think I would have liked this movie a lot more is if the twist was more clearly what I thought it was gonna be. Where I thought it was just Halle Berry's character was
crazy.
mentally ill. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Which she seems like she
Well, no,
is.
so like right, like it definitely felt that way, but then the older brother starts seeing shit
Yeah.
or starts like bugging out. You know what I mean?
And
It's just like what the fuck.
but he also had something that like destabilized his mind too, you know.
And I guess
Um,
then you can trickle down to it being hereditary. And I was like, all right, cool. The youngest is the only sane one. But then didn't he see shit too?
well, so I like the one thing I do like is that the two boys like role reversal essentially because it's like first the younger brother
Oh
start
yeah, yeah.
like he initially is doubting the mom and it's like I don't even think this is real, like we can't eat, we should go out and like just leave the ropes and go find food and like we don't even know, there could be more stuff out there, and like he's just like starting to kind of doubt what the mom has told them their whole life, which is like there's evil, you can't let go of the rope, like we're only here for each other. um and like basically for the first hour you're like he's starting to go bad, like he steps on his brother's foot and
No,
gets
he
mad at
stepped
him
on the rope.
on the
Didn't he?
rope,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
steps on on the rope that the brother's carrying, and it causes him to like break his leg and almost get attacked by the evil
He didn't
shit.
break his leg. He twists his ankle. But
The mom,
yeah.
Halle Berry said he broke his leg. It might be broken, is what she said.
Actually, yeah, she did say that. Damn.
Yeah, and it does get stuck in between a rock as he's like flailing through.
Yeah.
It seemed like a break. So like he seems like he's gonna be the bad kid the whole time. Like you're anticipating he is the bad kid, and it leads up to this point where they have no food whatsoever. They're literally living off of eating tree bark. Like they're eating tree bark and using sap like syrup to eat fried tree bark.
And they're eating like bugs and shit.
Yeah, and like so they have no food left, and Halle Berry's like, "Hey, we're not gonna make it through the winter, and like sacrifices have to be made." And she's like, "We're gonna have to kill the dog, Kodo,
It sounds right.
something like that. They're gonna have to kill the dog, and the boy who you've taken the whole time as being the bad one is just like, no, like you don't even know if any of this is real, and you're gonna kill like a part of the family, and like we're supposed to all be together. That's what you've told me my whole life. So he ends up trapping Halle Berry in like the greenhouse, and he's just like, I'm gonna prove to you that it's not real. And Halle Berry sees the evil, which is her mom, like a personification of her mom, in the greenhouse with her, coming to attack her, and she's like, "You're not gonna get me because I'm not gonna kill my kids." Because the whole idea is once the evil takes over, it makes you kill the people around you. So she just kills herself. Like, so Halle Berry doesn't even make it through the whole movie, which I was expecting her. That was probably the biggest surprise. Was like, oh shit, like they killed off
But I
Halle
was cool
Berry.
with that. I was like,
Yeah,
all right, I like where we're going to
yeah,
up to
like it
this
was good
point.
progression of story because
Yeah.
then it flips the whole roles of the movie. Because the kid obviously feels terrible because he never meant for his mom to literally slice her throat with a knife or whatever it
No,
was.
it was
Oh,
a
a piece of
piece of broken
glass.
glass.
Piece
Yeah.
of broken glass. Yeah. He never expected that to happen. But the flip side is the kid who was so willing to follow Halle Berry and believed her at every single turn, then watches his mom get killed, and it's the fault of the other brother. So he just completely like shuts down to everything. He won't eat. And he starts seeing shit. And what happens is basically from there, a real person comes to, like, they find a real person because the one of the boys decides to go off and try and get food on his own. He comes across a person who follows him back to the house.
It wasn't he was trying to get food. He was trying to find help.
Oh,
So
for
he
his
took all three of the ropes, linked them together, and made it as
Yeah.
far out into the
the
road
road. He sees
and started
somebody.
shouting help. No, he never
Yeah.
saw him. He was
Oh, I
shouting
thought he
help.
had seen him on the road.
No, he never saw him. He went out and started shouting help. And then later the guy shows up at the house and goes, oh, I thought I heard somebody calling for help around here.
Yeah. And so the brother who is now like, he's sleep deprived, food deprived, and scared. He's watched his mother kill himself. Is
What their
believing
mother told them was all they've ever known. They've never been any further than the rope from that house.
Yeah, so like they've never seen real people. Like everything in her to them has been like she's told them the truth, and all of a sudden there's a person there, and they believe that like the mom and Halle Berry's character would tell them like that it's gonna try and play tricks on you to get you out into the world and stuff. So the boy doesn't think he's real and has a fucking crossbow and just straight murders a guy. And it's still ambiguous at a point to where like I think the only problem with this thing is like when you get to this point is it's a very important part of the movie, and I almost wish they toyed with the idea that you didn't know he was real because I think it was very evident like this is a real person. And
Yeah.
like it's stressful when you don't know if he's going to shoot him, but once he shoots him it kind of is just like, well, me as an audience member, there's no doubt in my mind that that's a real person that he just shot. Um but through all of this, it's weird because like it is a real person. They take the food though. They don't feel bad at all about like just housing all of
No,
the
they
food the
like
guy had
engorged
with him.
themselves with all that food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there wasn't even a thought of rationing. Which,
No, they ate it all.
yeah,
I
which
mean,
was
which
nuts.
makes sense at the end of the day. Like they're
They're
kids.
kids
They're
and
starving.
they haven't eaten in weeks. So
Yeah.
yeah, they open every can that they had available to them and were just eating like tomato paste and fucking what was it like
Beans in a
canned
can or
fruit
whatever. Yeah,
and
stuff
shit
like that.
like that.
Yeah.
They were just eating like everything that you could possibly eat. And then the little girl comes looking for her father, and it's that kid's dad, and she realizes like, hey, you murdered my mom. But then you never really find out what happens to that girl, which is weird because she's now just running off in the woods by herself, and she's like a 12-year-old.
True, I actually
'Cause
forgot about
If
that.
you
yeah.
remember, he runs after her into the woods. So the brother who shot the dad is the one who did it, right? Or was it the other brother?
The brother that shot the dad was the one that chased off after her.
Yeah,
in the
okay.
woods, the
Because she
older brother, yeah.
realizes, like, he's starting to realize that, like, oh, wait, maybe I was lied to the whole time. Like, maybe there are real people still left in the world, and it's not all evil past this house. And my mother wasn't being completely honest. So then he goes off into the woods chasing after her. And the only thing that's weird is he sees her, but it's really not her. It's
Some weird like human centipede type.
yeah, and like that's
situation,
where
yeah.
it's like back to being ambiguous between like is he
That's where it
seeing
started to throw
things?
me off because I was like, all right, maybe the sickness is hereditary, whatever. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
But it just started to make less sense from that point.
Yeah, so he ends up getting touched by the evil and goes off, and he just decides like I'm gonna trick my brother now, basically, and burns the fucking house down around
With
him.
him in it.
Yeah, yeah. And so like the house is burning down. He's cool. Like obviously like they get through all of that stuff, and we get to the point at the end where like you rescue they get rescued by whatever team rescues them
Some search
from the
party that
house.
came out or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the other brothers rescued, and the thing you find out is like, yeah, the mom wasn't being completely truthful. Like
There's
there's an
still a whole
entire
world out there.
there's
They
an
were
entire
just
city that they're flying towards of regular people. So A, there's regular people, but then B, you don't know because the other brother gets rescued. The other brother, mind you, took a selfie in
Oh
front
yeah.
of, which is like that. It's like that's a meme, isn't it?
Is it?
There's like the kid with like the world on like the stuff on fire behind him, and it's like he's taking a selfie in front of it. I feel like that's a pretty popular meme that I've seen before.
Creepy.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. And House is Burning Behind. It was basically that. Like they have one Polaroid picture left, and he's sitting in front of the house as his brother burns to death, or he thinks his brother's burning to death behind him, and he takes like a selfie,
Smiling.
smiling
Yeah.
while it's behind him. And in the background of the picture, isn't there a ghost?
There's a hand on his shoulder.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But he's alive, so now you don't know, is he taking the evil into the world, or does the evil just reside within him because it's hereditary and like it's a mental thing?
I
Like,
think that's how they wanted to end it, is like not letting you know what's real and what's fake kind of thing.
yeah.
I just don't necessarily love the way they portrayed it.
Yeah, it was weird in execution for
Yeah.
sure. Like it's like it's another movie. Like I feel like this has happened with a lot of the horror movies recently, where there's like an interesting premise, but it stumbles when it gets to the end.
It feels like the buildup is decent enough where they could really have a solid close, and then they just fall apart. And
Yeah,
that's
you just
exactly
don't get
what
like this
is.
climactic ending that you necessarily want to. And I don't know, like this did try its best to have a climactic ending, but I just think you're left with too many questions for a movie that you'll never get a sequel to. And that's the Shyamalan aspect of this, where it's just like there's a twist, but that twist just led to me not really knowing
It gave me nothing.
what. Like I didn't
Yeah.
get like definitive answers on the twist that I got. So like
Also, I thought the two brothers were really good.
yeah. So I was gonna say I really actually want to say like I liked the movie because I
Yeah.
thought Halle Berry was very good, and then I thought the two brothers were very good. And when it's a movie that's literally the two of them carrying all of the acting through it, I thought they both all three did a really strong job. So like for that reason, I really wanted to like the movie. And it had some moments where I was like, oh shit, like what's going on here, but at the same time where it just didn't fulfill like the storyline aspects of it to its best. I don't think I ended up putting it in at 2.5 stars, which could be generous, but at the same
I
time,
also did, and I think I pretty much had the same feelings where I liked what the movie could have been, and I think it almost got there to the point where I can kind of hold it somewhere in the middle.
yeah.
And aptly enough, I put it ranked right next to The Watchers.
Get to my list.
So it's at 48 on my list, right behind The Watchers.
Well, actually, so I have it 47, right behind The Watchers.
There we go.
Look at you guys go.
Yeah, we were pretty much in the same ballpark on that. You want to talk about the more controversial one of the week?
Not really. This movie stole 2 hours of my life.
It's 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
Stole even more than I realized.
Demi Moore's The Substance.
Yep.
For context, Dante texted me last Wednesday and was just like, I think I just saw the worst movie I've seen all year. I can't believe I had to sit through that. And was just like upset.
I actually left the theater angry. Like pit in my chest, angry.
Here's the thing.
You liked it? Are you fucking kidding me?
Me and you
Are you fucking
fall
kidding
on
me?
like so no, I don't. I think I didn't give it a good score. But
I didn't even look at your list. I don't know where you put it.
I didn't have this feeling that you left with where you were like angry at the movie. So I gave it 1.5 stars. So I still didn't love it.
I'm pretty sure I put it dead last.
Here's the thing. First and foremost, Margaret Qualley or whatever, the new version.
Yeah.
Brother, you show me this much
Bro.
Demi Moore and her, and I already was like, this is getting 1 star no matter what. And I don't care what that sounds like out there, people. I was giving this movie minimum 1 star just off of those two women. And just the sheer volume of nudity that they put into this movie is
So
insane.
you know what made me think of watching this movie? I was like, this must have been what those people at UCLA watched when they said there's too much sex in movies.
Yeah. It
Wasn't even
crazy.
sex. It was just something that was way overly sexual. Like they had a lot of, I feel like, unnecessary nudity.
So
to a point.
I want to talk about that, but really quickly, my theater was pretty full.
Mine too.
And there was a girl that was like 16 or 17 with her like grandmother, and I don't know if it was her aunt or like what that was with her.
That sounds awkward.
When they showed like Demi Moore's like bush or whatever, she just audibly was like, ew. From like 5 rows in front of me.
Oh my
And
god!
I was like, all right,
Jesus,
buckle
Christ.
in, sister, because you're in for a lot more.
Yeah. First off, I didn't even look at the runtime of this movie. Like,
I knew it was long.
I vaguely knew what the movie was because I saw a trailer for it before.
Didn't know anything.
And I thought for sure this was going to be like an hour and a half, 40-minute long movie. And this very well should have been.
I don't know why it needed a 2 hours and 20-minute runtime, and
Because
that's my biggest negative to it.
It takes the runtime and it's just repetitive. It's like, no, you could have wrapped this up a while ago. You know how many times I thought, all right, cool, this is the last scene. Credits are about to roll. I'm about to get up. And I'll get up and I'll be like, there's another fucking scene.
And there was a lot more, probably.
It was like the last like 4 or 5 scenes where I was like, holy shit, this is still going.
So I want to talk about the nudity aspect because I did greatly enjoy it. But it made sense that there was this much nudity in the movie for the premise of the movie.
It made sense in the beginning, right? Like it's the whole like, you know,
it's a movie about Hollywood vanity. It's about like being at the end of and it makes sense that Demi Moore did this movie because Demi Moore, the first time I ever saw Demi Moore was in the movie Striptease. Like Demi Moore was a 90s like sex icon. Like she's still gorgeous, by the way. Like she was gorgeous in this movie, right? Like but it's dealing with the idea of being in your 50s and 60s, having that type of a career, and then Hollywood wanting to, like these Hollywood execs, and in this idea, personified by Dennis Quaid, who is like the personification of like a 60-year-old gross man that's been in power for way too long, where like they show him eating fucking shrimp, and it's like visually disgusting. The way he's talking about women, like when he doesn't know that she's there. Like
this movie leans a lot on being overly grotesque.
Yes.
And a lot of it is carried by the sound design. They use a lot of like really squishy, gushy ASMR type like sounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like you just visually zoom in on somebody's mouth, chewing open mouth on like food, and it's like their lips are sloppy and gross. And like, yeah, so like she has a fitness show that she's had for years. She has posters everywhere. She was the it girl. And the TV network that she's on has decided that they want to move to somebody younger and more attractive. So she gets into a car accident and she's in the doctor's office, and this guy is like, you'd be a perfect candidate. And does he hand her a card or video or what was it?
He hands her a card, yeah.
Yeah, with a
it's
phone
like a
number.
card with a phone number and a QR code, I think.
Yeah, and so she receives a tape and she watches a tape that's just like basically like what if you could have like a younger version of yourself? And the way it works is you'd have 7 days of being you, and then you switch to 7 days of being the other version of you. And there's no questions, like you have to switch every 7 days. But you don't know what happens if you don't switch every 7 days. So, but there is no you and that other person. It's just us. You are one. And what that essentially isn't telling you, but you find out is there's consequences if one takes from the other, basically, if one's selfish. And so she does it, and the way that they go about her, goes back to like, this movie is 2 things. It's visual fucked up shit, and it's audio, like the 2 things. So she takes this shot, and the shot leads to her back splitting open and a whole other person coming out of the back of her.
Just crawls out.
Yeah, and she's just like a carcass on the floor with her whole back open. Like, in that carcass, though, is Margaret Qualley, ass naked, just admiring herself in the mirror, because now they show you, like, it is a cool contrast where they show Demi Moore looking at herself in the mirror and being, like, super critical of, like, everything on her body. Like, her boobs aren't sitting the same way anymore. Like, her ass doesn't look the same, her stomach doesn't look the same. Like she's going through the whole thing. And then you get the like 2 minutes later, you get this like young 20 something year old gorgeous woman doing the same exact thing. And you're like, God damn. Like,
Yeah.
But she basically goes and takes over the life of Demi Moore's character from that point. And yeah, so like you get like an hour of just like,
And I think up until that point, I was still intrigued. I was like, all right, there's some things I don't like, but I kind of like the way the story is going and I see what it can deliver as a message. But it just went on too long and kind of lost its footing, I
so
think.
listen, I think that like it did, there's definitely fat that can be trimmed off of this, but there were aspects of like developing the character of like the younger version of herself and the selfishness and like you as a viewer being frustrated because you're like you don't give a fuck about the other side of
Yeah.
this equation whatsoever. And like it makes you feel like how did this ever work for any of the people who participated in this program? Because Dave, like what basically happens is like the consequences is if the person wants to go past their 7 days, if they start taking, because they have to take like extractions from
They're
the
like extracting like bone marrow.
basically and injecting it to themselves every day. And the way it works is when you switch back, you start regaining that bone marrow. And so it's an even trade. But if you start taking and you're not switching back, they never regenerate more bone marrow. And so like the first time she does it, she goes like 1 day over.
It wasn't even a whole day. I think
It was
she
like
only
an
went a couple
hour or two,
hours over,
right?
Yeah.
Because she has a guy over that she wants to get with. So she goes and takes more bone marrow to get herself more time past the 7 days. So Demi Moore wakes up and her finger is just like dead, basically. It's like got like
It's basically like a finger of a 90-year-old lady.
yeah, that's on her hand now. And like she's like calling and she's like, I want to reverse this. Like, why can't I reverse this? They're like, no, you can't do it. And so like she goes and she's just like every time she's awake, she's depressed. And it like they show you the older guy who's like, yeah, you just feel more and more lonely the more you do it.
And you find out
Because
he was the nurse that
he
sent her the
sent her
for
the
the
card to
program.
begin with. Yeah. And so like she basically is dealing with two parts of like mental issues here where it's like first of all body dysmorphia. She doesn't see herself as attractive any longer and is only seeing like her faults. And especially she has a poster, like a billboard in front of her house of the younger version of herself that's now living through all this fame and all this stuff that she wants, that every time she's awake for the 7 days, she sees this personification of what she used to be. And instead of feeling good about it because it's also her, she's jealous about
Yeah.
it. Then the other part of it is that she's depressed because she won't go out and like socialize or anything. So then she just starts overeating and like just it's disgusting the amount of food and everything that she's leaving around the house.
Yeah.
So then the next time the girl wakes up, she's getting all these opportunities because she's the new it girl. And it's like, well, how is this ever going to play out? Where she wants to do all these things, all these opportunities she's getting. So instead of taking a couple hours, she takes like a week, 2 weeks, whatever. So then the next time Demi Moore's character comes back, she's like bald and she looks like a 90-year-old, like we're like 100-year-old. Like
Not yet. That was
I
like
might
it was like
jump ahead.
Yeah, it was like
but,
half her face and then her leg or whatever. But
Oh yeah, she has to have that. There's that super awkward scene where she's got to stand up.
She had to like pop her leg back into place.
Yeah, or like I think it was so arthritic that it was stuck in one spot, so she had to like physically like pull her leg to like to straighten it out so she could stand back up. Which we'll get to where that's really weird because they emphasize that. But then when she comes back the last time and she's all fucked up like that,
Bro, she could barely move coming out of that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she's sprinting.
The runs were so funny too.
I was like, holy shit, she's a superhero now?
Here's the thing, dude. The beginning of this movie, interesting. The middle, slow, not a lot going on. You're like, dude, there's still another hour left of this. This is kind of crazy. Like me knowing how long it was. But I think genuinely the last 30 minutes of this movie is it goes back to the immaculate conversation where the last 30 minutes of this movie is the most unhinged shit that you'll ever see in your life. It's so fucking crazy what starts happening at the because like so it gets to the point where she's like, I want to discontinue the program. Mind you, Demi Moore's character is so disgusting that the fact that she would want to go and like live.
She looks like she would be like 200 years old.
Yeah, she was like just visibly like because if you just discontinue the program, you're stuck however you look now. So she's already been so like her body's been drained so much that it's like the fact that she would want to go on and live like this is crazy. But so she goes to do it and gets cold feet like right before she finishes the shot to kill her. And she brings her back. She uses one of the things that they use, and it brings both of them to life at the same time, which makes you think, why don't they just, nobody's figured that out. Like,
Yeah, like how did that work?
you could cheat the whole system
Yeah.
way easier. But they end up both alive, and Margaret Qualley's character is so mad that she realizes that Demi Moore was going to kill her that she just starts beating the shit out of a 200-year-old woman. Like,
Didn't she like Spartan kick her into a glass table?
yes, dude, she chases her into the bathroom, trips her, and she smashes her head. Then she takes her face and smashes it into a mirror like 20
15,
times.
20 times, yeah.
Smushes her face. Demi Moore's character is still trying to like drag herself out and starts to run away. And then she just runs and Spartan kicks her through a glass table, and then kicks her in the side to the point where her body's just a pile of mush and like there's just blood covering the whole younger Sue as the younger version, right?
Yeah. Talking
covering
through
her.
the ridiculous of this movie makes it sound like it's better than it is.
No, dude, this is where I gave it a higher score than Dante, because I think it is that fun. And I haven't even gotten to what I think is the most absurd part of this. So Margaret Qualley, after this, she's killed the other part of herself. And remember, they have to be one, like they are one. So she kills the other half of herself. She goes to this New Year's Eve thing that she's gonna do. And
she didn't go right to it. Like after she killed her, I think there was still like 2-3 months left.
Was there? I
Yeah.
thought that was all the same night.
No, there was still like 2-3 months left for like the New Year's Eve thing, and she was like, "Fuck it, I'm not switching back. I'm just gonna keep stealing the bone marrow." And what happened was it came up black, like it was completely tapped after like I think the night before.
So
New
she
Year's
makes
Eve.
them switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Demi Moore does that. But so at this point, she's killed her host, basically. And so her idea is, I'll just use that shot again to create another version of myself. And I assume it's because she thought she could steal the bone marrow from her. But the problem is, like, you would have still been asleep for the next 7 days and you would have missed New Year's Eve. But so she goes to the New Year's Eve thing with to just try and do it, and her teeth start falling out. Like she starts like degrading, like her body's just falling apart, and she's like, I'm not pretty anymore. So she goes to take the shot to activate to create another version of herself. But it's like that law of probabilities thing, right? Where like it, instead of just doing an even switch that created just a clean second version of itself, it took I don't know how science works. I can't explain this properly, but you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where like basically instead of going 1-to-1 to make 2, now there's 2 in her, and that 2 combines into like 4.
Basically, you can't clone a clone. Yeah.
Yeah, and she turns into a monster. Like a monster comes out of her, and it's like it's half Sue and half whatever Demi Moore's character name is, to the point where Demi Moore's head is on the back shoulder, like her face is just sticking out of this fucking mutation on the backside with one random arm.
She's got like 6 tits.
Her mouth's barely open, and she's just a monster. And she tries to dress herself up all funny, all pretty, staples the poster of Demi Moore's face onto her face, and then just tries to go to the New Year's Eve thing. Which is already like, it's so absurd that like, this is like, she's just like, I'm still going to do this. I'm still pretty. Like, I'm going to go and do this thing. And she shows up.
It's even more absurd when she shows up.
So she shows up, she walks on stage, and everybody's like, what the fuck
Even
is this?
before she gets to the stage, though, like, she's walking into the venue and everybody's like, oh my God, great, you're here. Like, no, you don't see anything fucking wrong.
She's got a fucking Demi Moore face stapled to her.
Yeah. Like, oh, they're waiting for you on the stage. And she fucking goes up there and...
Dude, she goes on stage and she has like a tit on her back.
Yeah.
And like the nipple the tit just falls out. Like, what is that? Like,
yeah, I think it was in her ear, wasn't it?
It was just dangling, and then slowly you just see like the nipple is there, and it slowly just starts to fall out of the sack and just falls out onto the floor next to her. Like this disgusting pile of like human flesh just falls out on the ground next to her, and everybody just starts freaking the fuck out. And she
it's crazy that it gets way more ridiculous than that.
And then it's like a monster movie where like all the regular people just start bullying the monster, and she's like, I'm still pretty, and I'm still me, guys, and they're just pushing her back and forth in like the crowd like a group of bullies would. And then somebody's head gets exploded, right? And she hits somebody and their head gets exploded. And then how does she end up firing blood all over the...
Didn't somebody like try to like kill her and like chopped her arm off or something?
Yeah, and like, so there's like a minute long scene.
It's longer than that.
This is where I'm like, this shit is so crazy, because you think it's gonna go on for like 15 seconds, And instead, yeah, it's like a minute, 2 minutes of just her spraying the entire crowd with blood.
She painted the entire building
Red. Just fucking spraying everywhere. And it just goes on and on and on. And for a person who appreciates practical effects, the idea that they used this much like blood to just destroy this fucking house or this room
It was an
was
auditorium, yeah.
is insane to me. And so you get through that and she goes out to the street and she's slowly like dying and withering away until her face is the only thing that's left on top of her Hollywood star. Like Demi Moore's face is the only thing that's left on top of her Hollywood star. And then they just movie's over. It's dude. There's an idea in there. It goes on way too long, but then the last 15 to 20 minutes of this movie is so insane to me that I was like, for some reason, I don't like this because it was just like too much.
I was so
But-
angry by that point, I couldn't even appreciate that.
Oh, see, I wasn't angry. Yeah.
I think the other thing that pissed me off is before I made the decision to go watch it, I decided to try and do a little research, right? And I was like, all right, let's see if this is worth watching. Let me see what Letterboxd is saying. And I didn't even read any of the reviews. I just pulled it up and
It's
was
good
like,
scores.
I was like, average of 4.1 stars. I think at the time it was average of 4 stars, so it's actually gone up, which
It's
is
at
insane.
4.1.
Yeah, at the time it was 4 stars. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. It was not.
I think people who would rate this though are looking at the message, and I think that there is a real message in the movie about like beauty standards for women and what it'll make women do to themselves. You look at like plastic surgery and stuff like that, and I think that that's what they're getting at is like how males in positions of power control so much of like women's success in that field, and then their body perception is so much of what that success is hinged upon that like that's why this movie is going to get rated as highly, because I think it effectively talks about that stuff. You
It
even talk
definitely
about, like,
effectively conveys that message. I'm not gonna argue that, right?
yeah,
But I think what it comes down to, right, is like while I understand the message, it's not one I can relate to.
Yeah.
And when looking through the reviews, it appears that most of the people that are holding this really high are women that probably related to this in a way that I just can't.
yeah. But I can relate to tits and ass.
Sure.
I'm Dennis Quaid. See, this is where we have to come in from that lens. Like they're coming from like, yeah, like why do fucking men do this to us? Whereas we get to be like, damn, Margaret Qualley might be my favorite woman in Hollywood now. I'm gonna follow her career for the rest of my life.
You're just doing the same Sydney Sweeney, Daisy Edgar Jones.
Yeah, I
like-
have a top 3 now for this year. And I'm really happy about
Yeah.
them. This will be part of the award ceremony at the end of the year, will be like the It Woman of this year. And I have 3 nominations so far. Because by God, is that woman perfect?
She's popping.
They showed a fair amount of vagina in this movie too.
They didn't actually show vagina. They showed bush.
They got pretty close on non-bush too.
Yeah.
I was impressed that they were willing to go there. But so you have it in dead last. Did you give it a star, a half star?
Half star.
Okay, so I'm at 1.5 stars, and I think I have it at like 64.
Yeah. It's a half star at 72.
Dave, you should see it.
Okay.
You're going to watch this?
No.
No, that was a very clear no that he said there.
Okay.
You didn't hear that? Damn. Okay, we still have a movie piece to go through. You have a couple. Give us a abridged version on the other, 2 movies you saw?
Yeah. Again, we have this whole competition trying to up our lists. And I literally just went on AMC and was like, what's playing that I haven't seen?
And this is why you ended up in Danvers.
I ended up in Danvers and I watched All Happy Families and What We Find on the Road.
All Happy Families is the one with the dude from How I Met Your Mother in it.
Yep, Josh Radnor.
Yeah,
Which he's very much just Ted Mosby in that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So down on his luck guy.
Jed Mosley.
Yeah. It in AMC app it shows as a comedy, so I was like, "Oh, cool! I'm locked in for this." This
But
is
he
like,
looks super sad on the
yeah, this is a dramedy. If anything, it's like 90% drama, 10% comedy, and even the comedy they do have is all like kind of like dry humor.
cover.
Like the audience might find it funny, but it's not projected in a way that shows to be intentionally funny, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Um, it's kind of a whatever movie. It it introduced too many like subplots that it really went nowhere with. Um, like his brother is like a famous actor that gets caught up in a scandal and like ends up in like hiding out in their like childhood home that Josh Radnor's character is living in. And like the parents come to visit and like Josh Radnor is looking to rent out the first floor and it's a girl he went to high school with that he's interested in, and there's a lot going on that again they really went nowhere with.
So stars, how would you rank
Uh
it? 2 stars? It feels like
I
a
think
2 star.
yeah, I think I gave it 2 stars. Sorry, give me a sec here. I'll pull up my up. But yeah, no, it didn't really do much for me.
Bop, bop, bop.
Yeah,
Bop to the top.
All Happy Families fell in at 58 for me at 2 stars.
Okay. And then the other one
The
about
oth-
the road trip.
Yeah, the other one I watched was What We Find on the Road, where it's basically like a kid. He hasn't seen his father in like 10 years, and then all of a sudden, some guy shows up at his house and just hands him a set of keys and a note. And the note is like an address where his father wants him to meet him at, and the keys go to a car. So he has to go meet this guy at a garage. They help him fix up the car. They're in Cape Cod, mind you, and his dad wants him to meet him in Cali. So like cross country in an old like '68 Dodge. Kid knows nothing about cars, and I was like, all right, cool. The concept sounds like something that might interest me, like kind of like an adventure movie. But I just feel like they didn't really do too much with the actual adventure.
Yeah.
Um,
Was it more of a character story then?
I think so. I think they were more just trying to pull on the strings of like kid longing to like see his father again and kind of understand like at this point he's 18, so like not having seen him in 10 years, like how much do you remember from when you were 8 years old? You know what I mean?
Nothing.
So
Not a single thing.
yeah, so he can't remember much from his dad. His mom has nothing but negative things to say about him. He meets these guys at the garage and they're like, "Oh, your dad was awesome. He was a rock star. He did a lot of really good things. Sure, he made mistakes, but doesn't everybody? Blah blah blah." So it's like a quest for understanding, I guess, right? But by the time he gets to meet his dad, that's in like the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. Which I guess that makes
I
sense.
get it, right? Like the story was more about the journey, but like even on the road, like he went with like his best friend, and like the whole thing is like there was this huge steel box that was like welded shut in the trunk, and because of the things they say about his dad, like his friend was worried, like, oh, you don't know what's in there, like we should open it, like we could be transporting drugs for him, and blah blah blah. They get pulled over by the cops a couple times. That also just didn't feel tense enough.
Mhm.
And finally, the kid like bails out. He calls his parents. They buy him a ticket home. At this point, they're in Texas. And he's like, my dad said he'll buy you a ticket too if you want to go back. He's like, no, I'm going to continue. So he keeps going on. The car breaks down. He's walking for a while, and some girl stops to like help him out. And they end up, and her car breaks down after helping him out. So they end up completing the journey together. And so it kind of turns into like a romance thing or whatever. And I just feel like that really didn't go much of anywhere either. Like it was a okay movie, but I just think it could have done a lot more. I also just think like I think if this was a better cast movie, like if we had better performances, I'd probably come out a lot higher on this. But it just all felt very bland.
I got you.
Yeah.
2 stars.
I actually put it at 2.5
Okay.
because
So
again, like
higher ranking.
yeah, I liked the movie overall. I think it left me wanting more, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So that's where I bumped it up the extra half a star.
Okay.
I rated that 2.5 stars, and I dropped it in at 50.
I saw one other movie in the
Okay.
theater. I saw the movie The Shade, which is a horror movie.
I saw that too. I was trying to line it up when I went to see these other two, but with movies like that, they only have one showtime,
Mhm.
and it wasn't gonna work out.
Yeah, I caught it on like a Friday. Maybe it was a Friday night or a Thursday. Maybe that was my Thursday movie actually.
I watched those two
Oh.
yesterday, so it was like there was no more time to squeeze in.
So that movie is about like so basically their father has died. He committed suicide. But you see it at the very beginning as like he's at a tombstone and he throws Like he lights the tombstone on fire and these like druids walk out of the woods and he's shooting himself in the chest is the way like you see him kill himself. Um and then you just start the movie up basically with like this older brother and this younger brother, and he like helps the kid get ready for school. He's with a single mom in a household now. The mom has a boyfriend too. But he's like kind of pseudo dad in the house, does all like drives the kid to school, makes sure he gets his homework done, makes him dinner, like whatever, breakfast, all that stuff. But he is seeing a therapist consistently because he's traumatized from like the shit with his dad and everything. Um, and so he's clearly got his own demons, but you find out his older brother, who is kind of the star of the family, is coming back from school. And it's mid semester, so nobody really knows why he's coming back from school. Like, did he get kicked out? Like, what's going on? But he was like the it person in town. So like all the friends and stuff are like, oh, like whatever his name's coming back and all of this. But when he gets back, you can very quickly see that there's something like off with him. And the first night he's home, there's like this music at like 3 a.m. It's like metal music, just like blaring from his bedroom. And so he goes to tell him to shut the music off. And he's not even in his room, but the door kind of like comes open a little bit. And the middle brother like sees like woman in the closet in his room, like at the time. And then the brother comes up and it's like, "What the fuck are you doing in my room?" And they get into a fight like in the hallway in the middle of the night. And so it's your first instance of like, well, there's something else like going on here. And you start to see the brother show like more and more like weird shit going on with him, and only like the middle brother is really like noticing it and like taking anything from it. And it builds to like this point where literally the brother kills himself. So like another member of the family has committed suicide. But like the middle brother is seeing this woman now too. Like it's starting to come after him as well. And it's it definitely has its scary moments, like with the
I assume
like
that
the
lays more on like jump scares,
it's not so much jump scares as it is like
tension
like
building.
yeah, because like you see like you don't like, oh, it's not all of a sudden she's in frame. Like it's like no, she's there, and it's like he gets paralyzed by fear. Like every time he has panic attacks and shit. So every time like she shows up, like he's like paralyzed with it, and it's like coming closer and closer to him. Um and like it's even starting to go to like the youngest brother's room, and he sees it going to the youngest brother's room, but he doesn't like he has trouble sharing his like emotions even with his therapist. He doesn't really like talk about anything with him. He avoids like whenever anybody tries to talk to him about like the trauma in his life and like shit going on that bothers him, he avoids it. And so by the end of the movie, it's like you kind of feel like the monster is more of like a personification of his like anxieties and his fears and like all of this stuff that he's dealing with, and that's what it's latching on to is like this like the dark sides of these kids, like the dad dealt with it too. Like it's almost like that entity is depression. It's not like a real thing so much. um but it's good in the way it depicts it, and I'll say like the scripting was really really solid for the movie. Doesn't have any like actors that you're gonna recognize in it, but like I think it was really well performed. So I really, really liked it. Then the only gripe I have is it just ends in a super flat way.
Mm.
Like so it basically is like he realizes like because the he leaves the brother alone one night because his girlfriend and him are on like the outs because he isn't willing to talk to her about the fact that he literally found his brother dead in his room, and like he won't talk to anybody about it. And when he does go to his girlfriend's house finally, she's like he leaves his little brother at home by himself. And while he's there, he sees the woman and like freaks out and goes to leave. And his mom's been calling him the whole time, has a ton of missed calls. And she's like, "Your brother called me terrified from his closet saying that somebody was in the house with him. And now I can't get in touch with him." So he gets home and the kid's not home at all. And he remembered earlier in the movie it said like, if you ever want to go visit your brother or your dad, like that can be our safe spot to like go visit him, which is the cemetery that you see in the very beginning of the movie. So he knows that his brother's there. He goes to like find him, and he gets into a car crash because the woman's in the car with him, and like causes him to veer off the road and hit a tree. So he finally gets to his brother. They get home, and he's like, "I'm going to ask you to do something that like neither one of us are going to want to do, but we need to do it." Which is like basically go face our fears. Like even though we're afraid of this thing, like we need to go and draw it out to come to us. So you think that there's going to be this thing where he gets rid of it or something. But like what happens is somewhere along the way he realizes that it's just attacking him because it knows that it's attacking like the
The part of
anxiety
him
and the
that's afraid. Yeah,
insecurities and
yeah.
everything like that. So basically, the movie ends with him just drawing this thing out, and it crawls up onto the bed, and he just stands up and flips at the middle finger and just screams "fuck you" at it, and like the movie just ends.
Ugh.
So like it has like a good build up and all this story, but like with all these things, you're waiting for like the hero to defeat its enemy, you know, and instead you get to kind of this ending that's just like
I
"fuck you."
like that concept of like a lot of like thrillers and like horror movies that do this where it's like the monster isn't really a monster, it's all in your head kind of thing. And
Yeah,
it's like, you're battling your demons in a very like I guess personified way.
yeah.
Um but I mean we just talked about like Never Let Go and now you're talking about this and I just feel like they both kind of
This
miss
is
at the
what I was
same point.
talking
Yeah.
about. How like these movies have really cool premises, but like it really depends on how you finish to the success of how these movies
Yeah, like
go.
I really liked where you were going with this, but you didn't drive it home.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So like getting this ending where you understand, like he's just like, I'm not willing to be afraid anymore. Like fuck you. I get like the story that they're telling.
But like visualize what happens next on that for me. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
he never sees it again. Like yeah, but like
yeah.
there's no finality as a viewer to that finish. But so I still ended up giving it 2.5 stars because I liked everything else surrounding it, and I liked where the story went, and like I appreciated the pacing and like the scripting was all super strong. It was just the one downside is it could have teetered into a much better movie for me if they tied it up in a better way.
Feel like you and I both have the most movies in 2.5 stars where it's like,
Yeah.
I liked what you could have been. I don't like what you did with it.
When you see 70, I think the median's where you're going to end up with everything, kind of, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm at 70. You're at 72, so people are up to date on that. Um, I did want to mention we've been talking about My Old Ass,
Yeah.
and like so it said that it was releasing on the 13th, right? But it's only been available in the Boston Common Theater for the past 2 weeks. So when I was watching The Substance, I pulled up reviews towards the end of the movie, and in the reviews, it enlightened me to some information.
What?
So 913 was a limited release for My Old Ass. And in the comments, it was like whatever the company. I don't know if it's the same company who's released this, but it's like they gave us a limited release of My Old Ass with Aubrey Plaza. Then we get The Substance, and then we get the full release for My Old Ass, and it gave the date, which is this Thursday. So
Ah.
My Old Ass is gonna be in Braintree and South Bay and all
Because one
these
of the things I wanted
theaters.
to say to you too was I thought it was weird that it was only playing in the Commons when I'm pretty sure I've seen the movie poster for it at South Bay.
Well, we've seen it in Braintree too. They have it up there. So like that's why it was always weird that it's not showing anywhere, but it's actually that they did a limited release for 2 weeks, and now the full release
It's coming.
is this week.
Okay.
And
You've
that's
already
why,
confirmed that?
yeah, yeah. If you go there's an early screening on Wednesday for it. Oh no, tonight. There's an early screening tonight, at 7, and then there is
That's hilarious to do like an early screening on something that you've already had out for 2 weeks.
yeah, yeah, and then yeah, you have like the full fledged in like national release is this Thursday.
Okay.
So I will finally be getting to see that because that was originally going to be my Thursday movie this past week. But then when I went and looked and I saw that it was going to be available, because then I was like, okay, I'll see it on Sunday instead, because I was going to be out at 4. And then I saw Substance and saw that, and I was like, okay, now I don't have to like, because I've been both me and you at this point. We're going to so many movies that like, there's not a lot of days I got out of work and I just come home. So
Yeah.
on Sunday, I was like, you know what, man, like. I don't want to drive to Boston and see this movie, especially if it's going to be out in other theaters closer to me
Yeah.
that are more convenient. So I'll just not do a movie tonight
Fair.
because I've been looking at that Josh Radnor movie and the other one you were talking the road trip movie. I've seen like both of them were on there, but they were only showing that Radnor movie at like 12:30 or 1
I
o'clock
think
most
both
days,
of them were only showing in Danvers. I
and
think
it was early days
yeah.
showings.
The Radnor movie was 12:30, and the What We Find on the Road was 3 o'clock.
Yeah, and what we find on the road is playing in Framingham now,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's playing at like 7 o'clock. So it's just
I think I actually saw that too, but I wanted to link 2 movies, and that's the reason I ended up going to
Yeah.
Danvers.
So it's just been the time on those ones were a little weird for me to get out and make them make sense. So yeah, I just didn't do anything on Sunday for movies. It was kind of nice though,
Yeah.
to be honest. So yeah, My Old Ass, that'll be this weekend for me. We got we have 3 episodes of Agatha to watch. Maybe I'll dabble in the Penguin myself. I don't know if you guys will. Also Vince McMahon docuseries comes out this week,
Hmm.
which is going to be probably pretty fucking dicey because it's definitely going to dive into all the shit that's been super controversial for like 2 years now, as well as all like the controversies in the past with the WWE with him. And I guess he tried buying this property because he didn't want it to get shown, and Netflix said no to selling it, and they're just going to air it anyways. So that's coming out this week. Also, there's like a rom-com series coming out on Netflix this week.
Didn't you talk about that before? Because I feel like we've talked about rom-com series.
It's Adam
recently.
Brody and Kristen Bell are in it.
Okay.
The OC too.
Yeah, that's sign me up. You put Adam Brody in something, and I'm generally gonna check it out because I love me some Seth Cohen. So
Damn. All right. Netflix, here I come.
yeah, so those both are dropping on Netflix this week. I'm pretty excited. I'm interested to see both of those.
Because now I need Netflix to watch that. I need to watch the Anna Kendrick movie that's coming out next month.
You got
and
the
I
Uglies.
need Outer Banks.
They're the Uglies too.
The Uglies. I know that.
I talked about it last week.
Okay.
It's got Chase Stokes, who is
John
John
yeah.
Deere.
Okay.
Do you guys real quick on Netflix, and we'll get out of here. Do you know what the most watched movie on Netflix this year was?
No.
I don't think either one of you have seen it. I know you haven't, but I doubt you've seen it either, Dave. I've seen
the J-Lo movie,
No,
Titan movie, or whatever it's called.
no, but I know what one you're talking about. It feels like it's the sequel to Enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
The
it's
Kevin
not.
Hart action movie.
No, it's 11 from Stranger Things. The movie Damsel.
Oh, I have seen it.
You did watch it?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one with the dragon?
Yeah, she
I
slayed
did
the
watch
dragon.
that,
Oh, so all
actually.
three of us did see it.
Yeah.
I guess that's why it's the most streamed movie this year on Netflix. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't like great, but
Was that this year? I feel like I watched that like 3 years
yeah,
ago.
it says the most streamed movie of the first half of 2024 on Netflix.
Yeah, that definitely felt like
The
it
Damsel.
was a long time ago I watched that.
Yeah, no, this year. Crazy.
I think I watched that maybe 2 months ago.
Where'd you find it?
I did watch it on Netflix, but I wasn't at my house.
Okay.
I think that was the last. I think she had from her Stranger Things contract, she had a 3-movie
Thing that she
contract
had
with
to
them.
do? Well, so she really likes Enola Holmes. I
She
know
did
that.
the 2 Enola Holmes movies, and then
And
this.
then this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fine. It wasn't great or anything. I was surprised that it's the most watched thing.
Dude, I can't tell you why, but that movie actually ran through my head yesterday. I was playing something or I was watching something, and there was just these bright blue things in the sky, and all I could think of was the bright blue things in the cave of that movie.
Yeah.
So
It
oddly,
just popped
oddly
in your
enough,
head.
that popped in my head
That's so
yesterday.
weird. Okay.
Interesting.
Let us know out there if there's anything else that we should be watching. Did you check out any of the 9 movies that me and Dante cumulatively saw? Are you watching not WandaVision? I apologize. Didn't mean to dead name the TV show, Dave. Agatha all along. Is that the right name, or is it
Yeah.
All the Way?
Yeah.
That TV show. The changes to movie theaters. Good, bad, the other. Are you into AI? If AI could go ahead and drop a comment on this video,
Ooh.
ChatGPT, this chat box on the bottom there, please. Chatterbox on the bottom over there. And while you're at it, AI, maybe subscribe to the pod. We'd appreciate it. With
Yeah.
that being said,
I would like the real people to do that too, but
that's a good point. That's a good point. This isn't exclusive to robots. Anybody can do that. Or the movie that starred Haley Joel Osment. You guys remember that one?
Yeah, artificial intelligence. Jude Law. Yeah.
God, we got there. Until next week, though, ladies, gentlemen, we bid you. Fale. Adieu.
Peace.
See y'all down the Witch's Road.
Gunshots. Up. Bang. Bang. Want me to do it again?
Ski.
For those with good taste.